I gave
Yes,
you.
I do have. Yes,
Yeah.
I do have.
Hi, this is Srinivas.
Hey, hi Srini. Thanks for joining, and we are getting started.
Okay.
Okay, let's get started. Hello all. So I am Subramani. I'm going to be your trainer for this entire course. I have around more than 4 years of experience in Salesforce. I have performed various roles like system admin, developer, consultant, and Salesforce trainer. I have more than 200 hours of live training in Salesforce, and I'm a certified developer, certified administrator, and app builder, and I have Service Cloud consultant certification and also the Copoda administrator certification. Okay, let's get started into the session. Let me share my screen. So please let me know if you could see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Ashok, give me a minute. I told you, right? One more guy is like to join this session. Give me a minute. I share the link.
Okay. Okay, Subramanian.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay, I don't want to delay this session. Let's get started. Okay, so these are the topics which we're gonna discuss in today's demo session. So I'm going with the assumption that all the audience should have knowledge on the Salesforce admin part, so that it will be easy for you to continue with the Salesforce developer part. So in the first topic, we will see why do we need code, and then we will discuss what language we use to write our code in Salesforce, and we discuss whoops, and then how to use anonymous window, and we will write some sample script, and we will discuss about how to create variables and how to declare it, and the data types, convert the script into a class and methods, which is nothing but converting the script into a oops concept, and then yes, create how to create class and methods in Apex, and we will also see how to debug the code. So it's going to be a more basic. So let's get started. Okay, so as I mentioned, everybody should have some knowledge on the Salesforce admin port, right? I think we have 7 audience. Okay, so why do we need code? What do you think? Since you have already have some knowledge on the admin part, so there are certain features which we have. We can drag and drop. We can point and click. We can use the Salesforce org, right? Then why do we need code, and why do we have jobs for the developer in Salesforce? I think
To do more customizations and to build apps.
Okay. Okay. So welcome, Devis. We just started the session. Okay. Yes. As you mentioned, if you want to customize the Salesforce org, which is beyond which you can't perform certain action through the configuration using what are the automation tool in Salesforce through the configuration?
Process builders run.
Perfect. Yes.
Workflows, Cloud Flow Designer.
Sorry, Samya, what you said?
I say flow, process builder and flows.
Flows, process builder, workflow rule. Have you heard about workflow rule?
Yeah, workflow, builder and process builder. They're three different things.
Perfect. Okay, so these are the configuration items which Salesforce provides without allowing the developer or admin to write any single piece of code. We can achieve it using the workflow rule, process builder, or the flows. So if it is beyond certain things which we cannot achieve it using the standard configuration tool. Hello. Devis, could you please go on mute?
Hello, sir.
Devis, can you go on mute? I think I'm hearing back my voice.
I'm not getting you, sir. What are you saying?
Can you go on mute?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So if we want to discuss beyond, configuration, which is not possible through the workflow rule or the process builder, we will be writing our code. And also if we want to customize the Salesforce, like this other page which you see in the Classic, and if you want to see it in the Lightning, we will be seeing it. If you want to build your customized page, or if you want to customize your UI, and if you want to perform any logic, if you want to build any apps, you will be writing custom code. So that is where we start the coding part of the Salesforce. Okay, so can we discuss one scenario, one basic scenario where we need to write code, not the process builder or the workflow rule? Can we discuss one simple logic for this session? Can we discuss about it? Yes. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, so there are around 10,000 accounts in your Salesforce org. So let's consider Flipkart is using the Salesforce, and all the account names will have the name as Flipkart. So there are around 10,000 accounts with the account name as Flipkart. So now the requirement is to change the account name as Flipkart into Walmart. So can you achieve it using the workflow rule or the process builder or the flows? Is that possible?
I think no.
No.
No, right?
No, I think.
Yes. So that is not possible. So at that time, what we need some custom logics to be implemented at backend, so that we can run that logic. This account name can be changed into certain things. So without any user interaction, or with user interaction, which is not possible through the configuration part, if we want to achieve anything, we will be going for the code. So we will be discussing more about Apex logic and the trigger in the upcoming class. So in the demo session, we will take one example, simple example to write a sample script, and then we will execute into the our developer console. Okay, so as I mentioned, we will be writing our code to convert all the 10,000 accounts name into Walmart. So what language we need to use? What is the language we use? So that is very important, right? For any program, we should have certain language which is predefined for that, so that we can use. Could be a C++ or Java or any language. So for that Salesforce, we have a language that is Apex. So this is the language we will use. What is that language? That is Apex. So what is Apex? How Apex behaves, and you know what are the different types of programming languages, right? Machine language, assembly language, and high level language. So if it is at high level, if you want to say, so the high level language has been divided into two types. So high level language has been divided into two types. One is procedural language, and another one is the OOPS. So we will be using OOPS logic. So what is OOPS?
Object-oriented programming language.
Yes. So the name itself mentioned that this is an object-oriented programming language. So everything which you are converting the logic will be defined like objects, classes, object nothing but a class, methods. So you will be dividing all your, a biggest logic into a class and a method so that you can easily reuse. Let's consider an example. There is a TV, and inside the TV there are certain ports. Each ports do their own functions, right? So you will be considering the TV as whole as a class, and each functions like the sensor and all these things inside the monitor behind which gives all the pictures quality and everything. So you can consider each and every function inside the speaker and everything you can consider as a method which do their own functions. So what you will do, you will be converting the whole TV into different functions, and for each functions you will be each functions do each their own work. So like that, in your real examples, if you want to write any logic, you won't write it in a, it's not like just a paragraph, like you are writing the logic for just for an application, you won't write it. So what you will do, you will be converting that all the logics into different methods, different functions, and you will be writing it. So that if you want to reuse that functions, you can also clearly easily reuse it, and also you can easily maintain that functions and methods. So that is why we are using whoops concept, and the Apex runs behind the whoops concept. That is a backbone of the Apex. Okay, so the intention of this session is not to discuss about the whoops. The intention of this session is to talk about the Apex. So for if you are going to write an Apex, you don't need, without knowing any basics, you don't need to go and write it, right? So that's why I'm talking about the whoops. So if you go and see the procedural language example, C is an example for the procedure, and the fortune, there are some HTML. So these are the examples of procedural. If you see, there are certain, bulk logic should be there, and there is no options for reusability, and there will be certain actions will be there, but you will be overcoming all the limitations of the procedural into one whoops, so that it is easy for us to reuse and easy for us to maintain it. So we will convert we will create one class, and you will get to know how this whoops and Apex works for us. Okay, let's get started into writing our own code. So this is our Salesforce org. So if you see, if you click on the gear icon, you have an option to have the developer console. So clicking on the developer console, see, so this is a platform for us to write our own code for the Salesforce org. For our org, if you want to write any code, so you will be using this platform to write it. So you don't need Eclipse, or you don't need Visual Studio Code. You can just use the developer console for writing our own logic. And if you want to integrate, you can also integrate, but Salesforce provides their own platform to write our logics. So if you see on the click on the file, you have an option to create Apex class, Apex triggers. All these are the certain customized functions. We will discuss more about in the next class, upcoming class. Let's get started into the anonymous window. Okay, so this is an anonymous window where we can write our own script, and we can run it, and we can see. So, okay, the anonymous window, let's create one sample script. So for that script, we need to use variables. So if we talk about variables, what do you know about variables? Can someone say what is variable if you have any background on programs?
Variable is like a container which holds a value when the program is executed.
Okay. Yes, same. So variable is like an it's like a storage place where you can store your value. So throughout your programs, the value of that variable can be changed. So that is a name itself defines variable, which means it may vary throughout the program. So let's take an example. I'm declaring an variable. You need a data type to create any variable. So this is how you will be creating a variable. So if you see, first value is a variable name, and this is a data type. So the first value stores an integer. So it stores integer. So that is what by data type I'm meaning. So this variable stores integer. So if you want to store any string value, you can also create string, test string, any name you can give. So like that, you will be creating your own variable. So if you want to learn more about the variables, okay, data types in Apex. So if you see data type, so primitive data types. So if you see, there are different types like Boolean, blob, date, date time, decimal, double, integer, ID, long, objects, string. So these are the different data types available for us to create any variables and store it inside the our program. So are you clear about variables? So how to declare variables and what is data type? You understood, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's make it as an interactive session, so that we will learn together. Okay, so we have created, let's assume I have created two variables, integer storing two values, second value. Now integer, I'm creating another variable, output. So I'm just writing a sample script. So this is an output which is also a data type of integer, which means this output is going to store an integer value. Okay, now a simple, very simple logic. First value plus second value. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add two values. The first value, the first integer, and the second integer, I'm storing it in the output, in this third integer variable output. So now I'm going to print that value. So to print your, if you want to debug anything in your code, you will be using system.debug. So inside that, I'm giving my variable. I'm just printing the output. So this is how I can use the debug. So what I will do, let's set the value. So for the first and the second value, I haven't given any values, right? So what I can do, I can give the values like 10 equal to 10. So while you are initiating the variable, you can give the value to the integer, or else what you can do, you can also call that integer name, the variable name. You can also assign the value here, 10. You can call it. So this is also possible. You can declare the variable and then you can initiate the variable with the value 10, 10. So you go both way you can do it. So now if you see, the expectation is 10 and 10 plus 10, we should get the output as 20. Let's execute it. You can select it. If you want to run any specific lines, you can select and you can click on execute highlighted. Or if you want to execute all the things in this window, you can just click on execute. So I have selected open logs, which means once this code is executed, they will be getting an log. If you see, So this is executed and now a log is open. So in the log, we will be seeing the output. So now I click on debug only, which means I have written a printed line. So I just want to see the output. So if you see, output is 20. Right? So this is very simple, right? So if we are using, if you want to write any script, if you want to execute it, you can also do it here. So this is very simple logic which I have given. If you want to make it as an execute. So 90. So what I have done, so I just used the subtract function minus, and then I have reduced the 10 from 100 and the output is 90. So this is how a simple script, what we have seen, how to declare a variable and how we are going to store the value into this variable and how to manipulate the variable and store it in one variable and how to print it. Any questions on this?
So in anonymous window, we write only logic.
In the anonymous window, you will be using to run any script. If you want to, we will be discussing it in more in detail, but if I say something you don't understand, in the upcoming classes we will use this anonymous window more. So for example, for now you can consider that if you want to write beyond something which is not related to Salesforce, if you want to write any simple script, and if you want to see the how Apex works and how a simple script, you can write and see it here in the anonymous window. The more use cases, we will see it in the upcoming classes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So this is a simple sample script which we have written. Now let's convert this script into a OOPS concept. So now if you see the difference, this is a sample script. Can we use the sample script in any way? Like I have given 100 and 10. If every time if I want to change the value, I need to go and change the value in this script, right? So this is not reusability. So I cannot reuse this function. So every time if I want to change certain values, let's say if I want to add another two different numbers, what I need to do, I need to come back and change the value. So this is not reusability, right? For any program, a developer or admin won't go on to change certain values, certain functions to run it, right? So without manual intervention, and these functions should run. So for that, what you will do, you can write a class. So to create a class, you have to go to click on file in the developer console. There is a new, and then select Apex class. So if you need to write any class, you should have the class name. So let's give the name as training, demo training. Okay, let's keep it aside. So if you see, this is how the class has been created. So when you give class name, by automatically the class will be created. So if you see the class, it starts with the access modifier, class name. So there are three or four different access modifier. If you want to learn more about it, you can just go and type access modifier in Salesforce. So the public, private, protected, global. So these are the different access modifier. So you can see the difference here. You can read it out. When you have free time, you just read it out. So these are the different modifiers. So by default, mostly we will be using public, and also it's based on our requirement. So for now, we are just using the public modifier, access modifier, and the class name. So the class name can be anything. So for now, I have given demo training. Okay, so we have created a class. So now this is a container. Now you can consider this class is the TV. Okay, you can consider this whole class is like a TV, what you see outside. Okay, now let's create one function. The function is nothing but a method, public integer addition. And so this is one function. If you see the function, how we have created one function, same access modifier, return type, and the function name. Yes, so we are getting error. So because we don't have the return type, so you can ignore. So for any method, if you want to create any method, you should have the access modifier, return type, and the method name. And the parameter, if you want to pass any parameter, you will be using parameter 1, parameter 2, or any parameter you can use it, pass it. So this is how a method can be created. And for the class, access modifier, class name. It's open and ends with the curly braces. So inside the class, you will be having a function. So this is how you will be creating a class, and this is how you will be creating a method. Okay. So now you have a question, what is return type, right? You have that question. Can someone guess what is that return type? Okay, so now you can take an example of this script alone. So what we are doing to, we are converting this script into a classes and methods. So now what is the return type here? So what we are going to return in this function?
Output.
Output. So what is the data type of the output?
Integer.
Integer. So that is what the return data type. So the return type is nothing but return data type. So if you are going to return any string, you will be using string. So in this case, I'm going to return an integer. So that's why the return type is integer. Clear? Yes. Okay. Now, okay, let's write the function integer. I'm creating one more variable to store the output of this. So output, I'm creating the output variable here. Integer, the data type of the variable is integer, and the name can be anything, output. So in the output, what I'm going to do, output equal to, I need two variables that has to be passed to this method, right? So let's pass the parameter. So what is the data type of the parameter? Integer. So I'm going to pass this first value and the second value into this method, and I'm going to do the function. So that's why I'm passing parameter, first parameter as value, data type as integer, second parameter is an integer, second value. So now I can get the first value plus second value, and it should be ended with a semicolon. For any line, if you are writing, it should be ended with the semicolon, else you will get an error. So now if you see, there is a red exclamatory sign right here, which means in this line we have an error. So you can see the problems, and here we have the class name and the line number 3. What is that? Missing return statement required, return type integer, which means, so this method has to be written an integer, but we haven't returned anything. So that is an error. So we will return output. So return is the keyword to return anything in this method. So return, I'm going to return the output. So the type integer, that's why the return type of the method is integer. Now if you see, there is no error, right? And now before returning it, I need to I would like to see the value. So what I can do, I can use system.debug. So you can give any value. Maybe for now, I can give my name for EC debug. I'm going to print the output. So now do you see the difference now? So this is the script which we have. You can consider this is our logic, which is something in our mind. Now we have converted this logic into a reusable function. So this is a TV and this is a function inside the TV. Consider this is a function of the speaker, output speaker. Do you understand now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now we should know how to call this function, right? We have converted all the script into a classes and functions. Now we should know how to call this function so that we will get an output. So we need to pass this to value and how to call it. So now you need to instantiate the class. How to instantiate? You can take the class name, demo training. You can declare the variable any. So I'm just declaring DM equal to new. So this is how you will be instantiating the class. Now DM dot, yes, Narendra?
It's creating an object, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In more specific, if you want to explain in programmatic, if you have created a class and if you have created a method, so there will be a memory space will be created at backend. So now you are taking copy of this memory and you are doing the functions. Okay, so whenever you create class or method, there will be a memory allocated to that and you are taking copy of that memory and you are, so in that memory you are setting the value as you expected and you can get the output. So this is nothing but instantiating the class, which means creating a copy of that class.
Okay.
Okay. So the function name. So the function has the two parameters. So what is the type? Integer type. I need to pass two parameter. Let's pass 10, 10, the first parameter and the second parameter. Now if I run, you will be seeing the difference now. So if you want to execute this alone, line number 12 and 3, you can use highlight it and you can click on execute highlighted. If you want to run the whole window in this anonymous window, if you want to run it as whole, you can click on execute. So I'm just running the line number 12 and 13 selected. I haven't saved it. So I haven't saved this class. That's why I got an error. So now if you click on debug, you will be getting the printed statement. So the printed variable is Subramani and the value is 20. So if you see the demo training, I have passed the first value as 10, second value as 10, and it has processed it, and we got the output as 10. So like that, you can also create another function if you want to do the minus subtraction. If you want to do subtraction minus debug. Let's call this subtraction method now. 100. Let's save this class first. Yes, so let it be. So I'm just calling the subtraction method, not the addition method. So what I'm doing, I'm just utilizing the another function here in this demo class, not using the addition. I'm just using the subtraction method. So I just call this. If you see in the anonymous window, we want to see the printer line debug only. So Subramani 90. So do you see the difference, how the script and how the object-oriented language in the Apex, how it works? We will be creating a container, the class, and the method. Inside the method, we will be having certain functions, and we can call the function easily. And this is also a reusable function. Any questions on this?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Davis.
Sir, why you write object created in other tool?
What you are
I'm
asking? So here, why I have instantiated the class name? Are you
No.
asking this?
Sir, but why you write in this code in enter Apex code? Some code written in developer console tool.
So this, why you have written? You are asking why I have written this logic?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, so which means if you have certain automation tools in Salesforce, with point and click and drag and drop, you can do the automation in the Salesforce. So which is
Sir,
not.
Okay. Sir, I can create object in developer tool.
No, you cannot create objects in the developer console. All these things which you can create all this in the configuration method in the Salesforce. But if you want to manipulate certain things which is not possible in the workflow rules or the process builder or the flows, if you want to automate anything, you will be using the developer console to write the triggers or the Apex class.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, so this is a demo class. So we just use the simple script to create what is variables, what is class, and how we will create class and how we will create method. So if you have any doubts, we can clarify it now.
Thank you, Subramani. Thanks for the session.
One question, how we do the versioning of the code in Salesforce?
That's a good question, Srinivas. We can't, we don't have any feature in Salesforce for, for the version control. So if you want to use the version control, you can use the, Eclipse or the Visual Code, and you can use the integrate with the Git so that you can do the version control. But in the Salesforce, you can't do the version control. So if somebody is working on this logic, and if another user comes and change this, it will be changed. We won't get the previous version of that class. It won't be tracked here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, do anybody have any questions on this session or the script explained by the Subramani? All right.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, Salesforce certificate is mandatory to get a job as a fresher or not?
We will discuss on that, Devesh. I'm just asking, do you have any questions on the session taken by Subramani from the script or from the basic OOPS point of view? If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can move on to the other discussions.
Okay, sir. Okay, I have no question, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I believe that nobody have any questions from the session taken by Subramani. And thank you so much for the session, Subramani. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
Okay.
So about this sessions, see, I have shared you all the syllabus, what we are going to cover as part of this training. This is going to be a live training for 20 hours. It means every day 1 hour we will cover the sessions, and you will be having a 1 day gap between one session. For example, if we are taking a session today, tomorrow there won't be any session. The day after tomorrow, the next session will be there. The reason we give that 1 day time is we will be giving you the practice use cases like this for each and every topic. Okay, so you have to work on the practice use cases, as well as trainer has explained you the concept with some examples, right? You have to work on that examples, so that that 1 day gap will give you a good idea, and you can have a chance to implement what being taught by the trainer. So that if you have any questions while implementing, you can note it down, and in the next day session you can get clarified from the trainer. And suppose if you happen to be, this training will, we are taking this in a batch, and this training will go as per the schedule. We will be giving you the days, date and topics what and all we have been taken. And if any happen to miss any session, any particular topic due to some scenarios, what we'll do is you will be provided with the video recordings of the live session. So you have to watch that video recording, and you have to cope up with the further training. Suppose if you are looking for a live session for that particular topic, we'll be doing this program, training program throughout the year. So we will notify you then and there whenever you are taking the training program. So you can join if you for the missing classes whenever we are taking the next sessions. Okay, and the timing predominantly will be the same timing, 8 a.m. IST to 9 a.m. IST in the morning. Okay, so these are the high level idea about the training. Do anybody have any questions on the training part?
All the development tasks will be done on the Lightning, right? Not on the Classic.
Yes, see, development, when you come to the development, there is no concept called Lightning or Classic, especially for Apex. Apex is common for both. Okay, and we are taking sessions on complete Apex. Apart from that, we are going to take a session on Lightning Aura components, web components, integration, and everything. If it is a configuration kind of thing, if that is something you might have a concern, like whether we are taking in a Lightning or a Classic. When it comes to the development, we are not going to touch that part, the Classic part anyway, because we are not going to deal with any UI here. We are going to completely build all the components in the development. Especially, we are going to teach you Lightning Aura components and Lightning Web components as well.
Okay, and the curriculum topics are too much. And do you really think that it will be completed in 20 hours only?
See, today we have taken the basics of OOPS, right?
See, yeah,
almost took us only, almost took us only 45 minutes
the
of
code
time.
which Subramani has written, it is just a basic code, and I won't expect such kind of basic code in the training like addition or subtraction, which we can do by the formula field in the admin part only, right? I know this is a first day.
Yeah, please give me a second.
I understand that, but I
demo
don't.
class. For the demo purpose, we have taken for the absolute beginners. This curriculum is for absolute beginners in development. There are some people already worked on Salesforce, and there are some people who are already have admin knowledge. But this session, 20-hour session, is for absolute beginners. Those don't have idea on programmatic, and this topic will cover in the intermediate level. For the beginners and intermediate level, for the development, these topics will far enough.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Do anybody have any questions on the training? Okay. Okay. Devesh, you asked something regarding certifications, right? Okay, he's not here. Okay. Do anybody have any other questions from the demo or from the training perspective? Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining today's demo. I will touch base with you guys in private. We will discuss about the further classes and the schedule. And Subramani, thank you so much for today's demo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.